Hey, we're back. Welcome back to my shop, or as close to my shop or the you to see, because I don't really know you. I might let you in here, but I lead a pretty private life. So, questions coming in. Hello, Rob. Hi, Harry. As always, welcome to Live in the Shop. I will be glad to talk to you about your comments, questions, things like that. When you do comment or question on YouTube, please keep it brief because if you write, it flashes across. Really read it, and I'd like to be able to respond. I got a few things to talk about today, things in the news and details, maybe some announcements, shop-related stuff, which we'll get to later. Nothing drastic or earth-shattering, but you might say it's an end of an era, kind of. You might not. When you hear the announcement, you'll see. No, Genesis Custom Sabers is not going anywhere. I'm here to stay until I retire, which is not anytime soon. Hello, what's up, KR Sabers? Heck nah, what's up? I try to read these names, and sometimes they're real names, sometimes they're not real names. So if I butcher your name or the handle that you hold most dear, please don't hold it against me. Just doing the best I can. That's all we're really doing around this planet right now is doing the best we can. Hey, Rob, I was watching some of your old vids. Always great stuff. Thanks. Some of those old vids are hilarious. I refer back to them because someone says, hey, did you ever make a video about how to build a blah, blah, blah? I go, oh, yeah, let me find that out here on YouTube. Okay, 10 years ago. Very, very little beard. Probably a little thinner. You know, it's just, I've been doing this for a long time. So some of those videos are really old. Other times people ask me about sabers. Hey, I love the saber. Would you ever do another one of these? And it was like, 15-year-old saber. I love the old school tutorials. Yeah, those old school tutorials. Some of them, they still hold up. Some of them probably need to be redone, refreshed. Technology has changed a great deal. Access to parts has changed a great deal. Most of those tutorials, way back when I did them, there was no such thing as 3D printing, where it was kind of like a fairy tale thing that you read about in Wired magazine or whatever that some scientists are coming up with. Now it's so widespread. I want to get a 3D printer, maybe next year. Not so much for stuff in the sabers. I do get some parts 3D printed for the internals of the sabers at Shapeways. But if I got a printer, I'd probably get a resin printer, and I wouldn't be able to print really durable stuff. It'd be more decorative and fun things, stuff like that. Oh, hey, let me mention, by the way, if you go to Shapeways and look me up, Mad Cow, Real Mad Cow, I think I am on Shapeways. Oh, there's a link on my website. I do have a Shapeways store, and on it are things like little sight mounts that fit on a Nerf gun. They fit tritium vials that you have to purchase elsewhere, so they glow, so you can have a illuminated sight on your Nerf gun. Kind of cool. Blade plugs, things like that. There's a few things on my Shapeways store. Questions coming in. Would you ever do some paint job tutorials, or is that a secret of the trade? Love the beer cooler project. Thanks, by the way. The little shop cooler is chugging away down there doing his thing. I might put him in a more prominent location at some point. But yeah, I could, let's see what I got in here. I got a Coke. I don't want to get too sugared. I'll stick with water for now. Would I do painting tutorials? When I do lightsabers particularly, I generally don't paint too much. I generally rely on anodizing, which you'll see if you go to the website on the stuff that's available in store. So the production stuff is, see that question? Heck not, way too long. I'm not even going to try to read it. You got to shorten it. So I don't generally paint the lightsabers. I do powder coating here, and I do etching. And so generally when I do any kind of what appears to be paint on a custom saber, it's powder coating. The exception being sometimes with weathering, I'll use a paint to kind of weather things with the expectation that if it rubs off, it actually adds to the effect. So to finish things, or if I want to make a really worn and beaten up saber, sometimes I'll apply a paint and then I'll do different techniques to lift the paint off so it looks old and worn. I do a lot of the do-it-yourself videos I do, like with the cooler, the fridge, and the Nerf guns, in hilt or thick-walled neopixel. Get to that in a second. yeah, a lot of the tutorials I do will have some kind of a painting element, but really, there's a lot of great stuff out there. Punished Props is an excellent resource for how-to videos on painting props and that kind of thing. Hecknow's question about thick wall, something to do with thick wall dueling. I'm going to assume that I know what you're talking about and say that generally, blade constructions, there are three. You've got your thin wall blades, you've got your thick wall blades. Thin wall blades, polycarbonate is 1/16 of an inch thick. Thick wall blades is 1/8 of an inch thick. Thick wall blades are heavier. They'll stand up to much more punishment and dueling. They flex less. Because they're heavier, they don't balance as well. I prefer the thin wall blades because for most things except full-on smashing, the thin wall is adequately strong. And then the third is NeoPixel, where you've got either of those two with a strips of LEDs running inside, which add a little bit to the weight of the blade and add a little bit to the risk of vibration over time damaging some of the connections or whatever in the NeoPixel blade. So generally, I don't recommend NeoPixel blades for hard dueling. For hardest dueling, you'd want to get a thick wall blade somewhere like a Custom Saber Shop. But my blades, my standard blades are all thin wall, both NeoPixel NPX2 blade and the standard clear blades for Tri-Crete. So I don't know if that answers your question. People always think that they want the heaviest duty blade possible. They generally don't look as good as the thin wall and they don't balance as nicely. So it really depends on what you're using it for. And if it's not a NeoPixel saber, try getting both and experiment. Great question. Yeah, so if there's any other questions, please fire away. I don't know if you saw the news the last couple of weeks. Daisy Ridley, I don't know if their NDAs have expired and they can now talk about the films. Daisy Ridley was being interviewed by Josh Gad, I believe, and she shared that all the way through the films into the last film, Rey's parentage was in doubt, in question. They were going between a number of different scenarios, which got me thinking two things. One, that is a major detail to be constantly shifting your opinion of in terms of how the story is going to play out. And two, that kind of lends evidence to the theory that I've had that the three sequel films were kind of pieced together as they go. They didn't have a cohesive feeling. Now, so I, of course, got on Twitter and said, of course, knew it, called it. They didn't know what they're doing. They're constantly making up the story as they went. Proof, Daisy Ridley's comment. And then some people posted, well, hey, back in the day, George Lucas, in the first film, the idea that Vader was Luke's father, Anakin, was not, spoiler alert, was not even a thing in the first film. It wasn't until the second film they fleshed that out. So George Lucas was changing and tweaking the story as he went. I think that's completely different for one main reason. George Lucas, when he tweaked the story and the vision, he made it better, more cohesive, more engaging. When the team doing the recent sequel films, and I don't want to be a sequel basher, I just didn't like them as much, and I think they missed the caliber I was expecting. And one of the reasons is because the cohesiveness of the story and the changing. They didn't do it. They weren't George Lucas. So that just kind of reinforces the idea I've had. Like, I watched the last film with my wife and I said, it's almost like they're making this up as they go. Lucas caught in a bottle. That happens once in a generation. Truer words were never spoken. Or if they were, I can't think of them right now. Yeah, so please, there are comments and questions flashing up on my screen, and I apologize if I have missed them, but that was one of the things I needed to get off my chest. Chirophonic, love your setup. Thank you. I endeavored to make an inspiring workplace, and it's been a labor of love over several years. Rank the trilogies. I'll get into that. The side effect of having an inspiring workplace that I've worked a labor of love over years to put props on the walls and all around in the lighting is that it's an incredibly distracting workplace. That if I'm not careful, I don't get anything done because I'm tweaking and monkeying with things that I see as I'm working and go, oh, I'm going to fix that or I want to change that. Rank that, I don't know. Generally, any ranking of Star Wars films is there's gonna have a commonality. Depending on when you ask me, I'm gonna have a different opinion, a different ranking. But one thing will always be true: Empire Strikes Back ranks number one every time. Something you'd see in a starship. That's what I was going for. Love your General Krell font. I don't have a General Krell font. I don't know what you're thinking. You might be confusing me with someone else. I have a lot of sound fonts available at saberfont.com under Mad Cow. If you want to just go to saberfont.com and look up artists, Mad Cow, just type that in or just select, and you'll see all my fonts. I don't have a General Krell font. I generally was not a fan of the Clone Wars. Loved the last season that they came back and kind of finished it off. I loved Rebels, but not a fan of the Clone Wars. Big question there I'm going to ignore. How are things in Canada? Things are awesome in Canada because Canada is awesome. I love being a Canadian. I am embarrassed by my federal government and prime minister right now, but these things change, and hopefully, I'm not going to get into politics. There's just a lot going on here. I mean, those of you in the States, you got a big election coming up. So hey, okay, here's some advice. Non-political, non-partisan advice. Take care of each other. Be kind. Don't lose your head. If somebody tells you that something is proven and it's scientifically fact that it's this way, scientists haven't been agreeing on things for a million years. So don't regard that. Anybody that tries to bully you into a point of view or an opinion, reject that. Just take care of people, take care of yourselves. If you need to switch off social media because you're losing your mind, go ahead and do it. If you need to be that phoneless idiot sitting by a waterfall somewhere, completely unaware of what he's supposed to be afraid of, be that guy. I am grateful that I live in Canada and I have mountains right over there. I can go hiking and I can switch off, which I do for my own sanity. Everybody, that's my advice. Whatever's going to happen in the election in the States and the possible election in Canada, and everybody in the media losing their mind, just breathe. We're going to get through this. It's going to be okay. Sorry, while I was ranting there, I missed a couple of questions. So feel free to ask a question again. Used to watch your videos a lot when I was younger, 17 now, still on my sub list. Thanks. I appreciate you subscribing to my channel. It means a lot to me. I make very, very little money off YouTube. I was really kind of hoping that would mean that would kind of go somewhere, but whatever. I love what I do, so I'm just going to keep doing it. So yeah, I can guarantee you on these live videos, I'm going to rant about something. So if you trigger me, I will rant because it's my channel. And until YouTube shuts me down, which, who knows. Did you see the Mando Season 2 trailer? Thank you, Harry. That is another thing I wanted to talk about. I did several times see the Mando 2 Season 2 trailer. Are you excited for Ahsoka and Mandalorian Season 2? No, I'm not. I got into this in another video. I've never been a fan of Ahsoka. And there's nothing wrong with Ahsoka. There's nothing against female characters. I'm a huge fan of Hera. Awesome. You know what? I think given the story, Sabine Wren is a much more significant character to bring in to the Mandalorian Season 2. I feel like Star Wars is just trying to bank on Ahsoka and just throw Ahsoka into everything and anything to add more Ahsoka. It's like that old SNL video, add more cowbell, needs more cowbell, needs more Ahsoka. Somebody in the room at Lucasfilm is yelling, it needs more Ahsoka. Fire that person, get them out of there. Mandalorian is awesome on its own. It doesn't need more Ahsoka. Hopefully they won't monkey with it too much and keep the magic. So that's my rant about Ahsoka. I would love to see Sabine Wren. I would love to see Sabine Wren factor into the story of how in the world Moff Gideon got that Darksaber. And as you know, I'm not a big fan of the concept of the Darksaber, but as a story element, it is what it is. I would have made it something different, but I'm a lightsaber guy. They didn't ask me, nor are they going to. I want to see how Moff Gideon got the Darksaber. When last we saw it, it was headed by Sabine Wren to, what's her name? Bo-Katan, as the kind of ceremonial mantle of leadership over Mandalore, which irritated me to begin was because in the expanded universe, Mandalore was wiped out a long time ago, and for thousands of years, the Mandalorians have been roving, mercenary, warrior, Vikings, like the cross between Vikings and Klingons, to, cross metaphors, and Clone Wars kind of monkeyed that up. So it seems like Mandalorians are fixing that. What's kind of annoying is Ahsoka or I didn't get the Ahsoka comment. I love Sabine Wren because I would love for them to explain the Mandalorian creed that Sabine exists under, where taking off your helmet is of no consequence, and the Jindarin Mandalorian creed, where you cannot take your helmet off in front of people. Rumors that Ezra will be in Mandalorian season. Well, you know what? That would be cool because when Rebels left, Ezra was out there somewhere with Thrawn, presumably. So they've got a lot they can do, but I don't think they need to bring all this old stuff back in. The story's good enough as it is. Rob, do you do small run custom work? Yes and no. The Bane Legend Saber was my last kind of small run, kind of custom, if you'd call it that. I did also a small run of the Speeder Sabers, which were in advance of them hopefully becoming a production series saber next year. So I do things like that. I don't generally do small runs very much anymore. Thrawn versus Gideon Dream Team, or Thrawn. I'm assuming that's Thrawn plus Gideon Dream Team. Yeah, I kind of wonder, like, Moff Gideon wants the child. I think the child is a clone of Yoda. I think what Moff Gideon wants is a powerful force being to take to what will become, in the timeline, the clone emperor, who seemingly seems to drain force people like a vampire to stay alive. I think it could be something like that. What are your thoughts on Plector versus Profi? I don't have a whole lot of thoughts because I don't use Profi. So I have lots of thoughts on Plector. I use Plector Labs cards exclusively, and I just haven't dabbled around in Profi. There's not enough room in my brain to do what I'm doing and just learn a whole new system. So I'm a Plector fan just because that's what I use. What's the best way to get a hold of you to do some custom work? Excellent question, Jack. Custom work, I don't do custom commissions anymore where people will ask me to design something for them or work with me on a design of a one-of-a-kind saber. What I will do is custom modifications to my production series sabers, Ascend, Creed, Bad Axe, things like that. And that's a 1 to 2 year wait list. So if you want a Bad Axe with a certain type of etching, or you want an Ascend with my Nord Steel style etching, or something with a really cool color, or your name etched in it in Aravesh, that's possible. I will do custom work like that on my production series sabers. I will also periodically make a saber that is a one-of-a-kind with a crystal chassis and things like that. I haven't done one for a while. I've been so busy. And then I'll auction that. But I don't do the custom commissions anymore. I just don't have the time. So excellent question. Thank you. Wanted to clarify that. Again, I've missed a whole bunch of your questions and comments as they've scrolled through. So if you would be so kind, if I have not addressed your question or comment, please feel free to condense it, fire it again. Did you like Thrawn and Rebels? I did. I'm very partial to the expanded universe, as some may know. So the original Thrawn trilogy is my Thrawn. But this was close enough that they obviously paid homage to it and did a lot of research on the original Thrawn. But I wouldn't be surprised if they brought in Timothy Zahn to kind of speak to his character, his fascination with art, his tactical genius. So yes, I didn't necessarily like the voice per se, but I like Thrawn. Someone asked if you can order parts from me. The answer is no, I do not sell parts. When do you think the next bad axes? I have a saber called Bad Axe. Sometimes I mispronounce it. I was hoping to have them this year. They will not be in 2020. I'm now hoping to have some in 2021. They are too complex and time consuming for me to have as a regular item. I have elected to work solo. Yeah, see what I did there? I work by myself. I don't hire staff. The sabers you get from me are not made by minimum wage employees in some sweatshop somewhere. Everything is assembled, made, designed, put together by me. The downside of that is I can only do so much. So I have to kind of plan things and time things. Which leads me to my announcement. Thank you for setting it up. 2 announcements. The good news announcement, the Speeder is on track to be a regular production series item next year. So the Speeder Saber, I'm going to have some more of those available here in the fall for people to buy, the special advanced version, the prototype. And then the Speeder Saber is going to be sometime in stock next year. The other piece of news is I'm officially retiring retiring the Vector. The Vector design is going to be removed from the store. I'm going to keep what's left for for people that are on the custom work list that have been waiting for a vector. And so I'm going to keep the rest for those, and I will not be making any more vectors. I just can't do it all, so I'm removing them so that I have room in my life to make the speeder saber and add that. So then next year going forward, the production series sabers will be speeder, ascend, creed, and periodically bad axe, and those will be my lineup. So it is still possible to get a vector saber if you act now. I've got a few left, probably in the next few days. I'll be pulling that off the website, maybe next week sometime. So it's been a good run, end of an era. I designed the vector with some things in mind, and it's just, it kind of hit a ceiling. I can do lots with the creed, I can do lots with the ascend, but the vector's kind of stuck where it is, and with technology advancing, it's just, I'm not going to keep it around. You work by yourself, Buck? I missed that. Are you hiring or planning on hiring? No, Ghost Warfare 4, I am not hiring. I have my wife who sometimes helps me in the shop. So yeah, I'm really glad that everybody loves the speeder and you want one. It means a lot to me. That tells me that it's worthwhile pursuing that. Would you ever show your personal collection? You know what? It's not much just to see, and the lighting's not really good, but you know, I've got, let's see, what do you see down there? I've got a bunch of replica sabers that I made. And then I've got some originals like the Jaina saber, and I've got the original Bane and the Bane Legend. You know, so it's kind of my collection. I've got a few others. I've got this one here. This is my Nord Steel Ascend with my new Ashes sound font. So that's really a fun one. I just put a screen in that too. So a lot of fun with the screen. So that kind of is an updated updated saber. It's been around for a while, but I didn't have the, see where the recharge port used to be. So now it's set up with a Crystal Focus version 10. You like Jaina's saber, thank you. Where did you get your display case? It was IKEA. I think they still sell them at IKEA. Just a glass display case with 3 shelves. You can put a light in it. It's pretty cool. I've seen a few other people that have them. I've had it with me for, can't believe it's not broken. I almost dropped the box or carrying that in when we moved here. Bought Ashes, loved it. I think my favorite Spitfire swing. I think my favorite to Spitfire swing around. Spitfire is another font that I have. Yeah, but I'm glad you like Ashes. And in case you haven't heard and you're wondering what the creepy voice is saying when you activate the Force Clash, hold the auxiliary button down. And it's a creepy voice. Oh. That is the Sith code reversed, so it's backwards, my voice, with some creepy effects. So I thought that'd be fun to throw that in there, you know, just kind of as one of those Easter eggs that you can add into sound fonts, just to kind of build the creepiness of the Sith font. That's what I was going for with this one. It was actually partially inspired by playing Jedi Fallen Order, which I have now completed. We can talk about that if you'd like. And there's a couple of times where, I can't remember her name, the second sister, something with an S. What's her name? Somebody help me out here. The second sister who you fight, a couple of times when she ignites her saber, it's got that old original, I think it was used in Vader, Trillis, thank you, Trills. The old kind of Vader hum, this particular hum. And I knew I had a copy of that hum that I'd never used in any sound font before. And so I kind of morphed that, pitched it down a little bit, and used that hum, and then built some new swings with some new effects to go with it. But when I heard that, it just reminded me of that menacing Sith thing. Trillis, right? Thank you, Cody. Yeah, so Trillis saber in the Jedi, what's it called again? Jedi, I'm already forgetting. Fallen Order, Jedi Fallen Order. Yeah, so that got me going. I started messing around with it, and then I started remembering having read one of the Bane novels recently. Just kind of recaptured that creepiness. So I'm glad you like it. Thanks for purchasing it from saberfont.com. It is a super fun Sith dark font to play with on your saber, if that's your thing. Did you like the game? Thanks for asking, Harry. Better than I thought. I did not like the story mode on Battlefront 2 as much. I just didn't really get into it. I just felt like it was an add-on. I play games as I want a first-person campaign. I don't want to play online. I don't want to play with my buds. I just want to be immersed in a story and carry that story out. Um, the game, I kind of figured where it was going, but I think the story and the unique elements they brought into the story, I thought were well done. I think meeting a kind of disgraced fallen Jedi on Dathomir and just those elements were good. I thought the puzzle solving element was good. So really, the game was better than I expected. It's no Skyrim. It's a good game. Have you ever thought of making a Darth Sidious saber? I don't do replicas, and because it's already made, I wouldn't do a replica. I would do a concept saber maybe of if I had done Sidious saber, what I had done, but I haven't felt particularly inspired to do that. Someone else asked if I would be in favor of continuing the Star Wars expanded universe. You know what? It depends when you ask me. Currently, right now, I'm reading the new Jedi Order series, which chronicles the kids of Han and Leia, and of course Luke and all the characters in the invasion from outside of the galaxy of the Yuuzhan Vong species. And most of those books are just so excellent. And the one I'm reading right now is one of the ones written by Michael Stackpole, so it has Corran Horn in it. They're really excellent stories, and it really reminds me that even though I wasn't a huge fan of the new films, I still love Star Wars. This is my jam. So would I be in favor of that? Maybe. Ghost Warfare, the level of Cramfu is ridiculous to make them. Okay. I was probably answering someone else. Would you ever do a pair set of Darth Caedus Jason sabers? I've been asked that before. I'm not opposed to it. I just have never really resonated with the character and had imagery in mind that kind of connected and thought, yes, I want to run with that. And really, I've been so busy the last few years, I haven't conceptualized any EU sabers. You read Son of Dathomir. I can't recall if I read that or not. Is that one of the new prequel books? It has to do with Maul, right? I don't think I've read that. I've only read Aftermath series, and I didn't really like it. Other than the droid had some cryptic reference to HK-47, which I thought was awesome. That made the whole series for me. I'd like to build an HK-47. I actually got a couple of droid ideas that I'd like to do in here at some point, but they're so involved that it's going to be one of those long, ongoing processes where I do notes and eventually. It's the Maul comic that was scrapped as a Clone Wars arc. Oh. Yeah, what about Maul? I was disappointed that they brought him back. I thought Sam Witwer, his voice acting is on a whole other level from everybody else. And he made the character a valuable story component to me. After bringing him back in Clone Wars, which I don't like, his use in Rebels, loved his appearance in the story of Ahsoka, and you've got all these different eras and incarnations of Maul throughout the storyline that I thought they actually did a great job with it. I think what I'm describing is the storytellers of Star Wars, probably Favreau and cowboy hat guy with the wolf shirt. I can't remember people's names. Are doing an excellent job, and Rebels and The Mandalorian are an indication. Do you like Star Wars: The Force Unleashed? I did like Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. Dave Filioni, thank you. You know what? What would I do without my peeps to keep me on track when I forget important people's names? And Dave, if you're watching right now, sorry. Don't let this in any way keep you from reaching out and hiring me, because I'm available for that. I can drop stuff. I could be there, man. Favorite canon lightsaber design? I get asked this a lot. I don't really know. I like the Dooku. If you had a favorite Separatist battle droid, what would it be? I don't know, man. Favorite Separatist battle droid? I never really thought about it. Do you turn your designs on a lathe or purchase most of your stuff from CSS? I do. I have a little old lathe and a milling machine, so I do some of my own machining. I get stuff CNC machined at a place here in Alberta. I also work with the Custom Saber Shop on some things, and I use some of their stock parts to build custom sabers, so I do a little bit of all of that. All of the above. I do not have any CNC machining stuff here, though. I have to get, I work through two shops primarily to get CNC. The Speeder and the Bane parts are machined in the States, and the Ascend and Creed parts are machined at a place a couple hours away from here. These are excellent questions. Thank you. And I apologize again if I've missed a lot. So if you've asked a question and I have completely missed it, feel free to re-ask it, and I'll try to get thoughts soon. Thoughts on Star Wars High Republic trailer? I have not seen a trailer that I recall. I'm cautiously optimistic because, to me, like, I don't know how much they're going to mess with things like the Bane storyline or the story elements that I know. I've got like what I feel is a really solid grasp on Star Wars history from the expanded universe, and now they're monkeying with all of that, and makes me nervous. Big fan of your earlier tutorial videos. Would you consider doing more in-depth series about more advanced techniques? Yes, I will consider. I don't know when I'll have time to do. Videos are very time consuming to map them out, plan them, shoot them, editing. So generally when inspiration takes me, I've kind of devoted a little bit more of my video time now to other do-it-yourself non-lightsaber related projects like other props and things like that as I experiment. So there may come a time when I try to reinvest in lightsaber tutorials. I also, when I made those tutorial videos back in the day, there was very little competition for what I was doing for a living at that time. Now, there are everybody and their dog seemingly is starting up a lightsaber company and is trying to undercut everybody else and become a little bit more cutthroat. I am very blessed that I have a good following, and I try to make my stuff as artful as possible so I don't get mired in the economy, the cheapo lightsaber market. I try to be a little bit set apart from that, and people still buy my stuff, and I'm very grateful. So if you've bought from me, I know sometimes it's painful to pay a little bit more, but if it's something that you really want, you know what that's like when you buy something and you have buyer's regret. You thought, man, I wish instead of having these 3 sabers, I just had one of these. I know what that's like and what that feels like. So I appreciate you buying from me. It means a lot. Keeps me and my family fed. They're just over there. And it keeps the lights on, and I appreciate it. Thanks. Buying sound font helps keep the lights on. Liking a comment or an image or following me on Instagram or YouTube, subscribing, every little bit helps, and I appreciate it. Thank you. Bane Legend, thank you for your kind words on Bane Legend. Yes, I love that saber. It was a lot of fun to build. I aim to produce another one for auction before Christmas, if I can. If I ordered one, how long would it take to ship out? Good question, Harry. Production series sabers that you order on the website, generally 3 to 8 weeks. Sometimes I have to go the full 8 weeks as I'm waiting for parts from China or something like NeoPixel strips or whatever. But generally I can try to get things out in a month. It's because you're an artist. Thank you, Rich. I appreciate the kind words. I do want to function as an artist and keep that front and center in what I do and not get bogged down in I don't want to be a mass producer of things. I want to be a designer. I want to conceive of awesome stuff and try to execute awesome stuff. That's what I want to do. Mine got about 4.5 weeks from Alberta to Southern Ontario. I was born in Southern Ontario, Carter. Don't know if you knew that. I don't really like Ontario. There's a bit of a rivalry. Maybe it's more just Toronto. I love Ontario, don't like Toronto. Toronto seems to think they're the center of the universe. Do you know what I mean? That's the perception out west anyways. And it seems like, don't get me started. It seems like because you know what? I'm not even going to go there. I'm not going to go into why I think the political instability in our country is partly due to how much power Toronto has. I'm not going to go there. Anyways, did you play the Force Unleashed games? Yes, I did. Liked them. I also dislike Toronto. All right. Power to the people. Carter, I'm with you. Yes, I played the Force Unleashed games. I love the original Quarter. Jedi CRI. Hey, I'm from Toronto. Hey, I can love you and not love the politics and the power broking around your city. I can do that. We can be one. Coming from Northwestern Ontario. Yeah, we do. Yeah, distance from ourselves. Yeah. Okay, you know what? I know what that's like because I live in Alberta and I love Alberta, but then you talk about Edmonton, I'm like, hey, that's the enemy. Edmonton's the enemy. So I get that. You know what? Rivalries, that's all good. As long as we can still love each other at the end of the day. And that's seemingly getting harder and harder to do. I don't know what's happening to the world. There we go again. Breathe. Get into the outdoors. Forgive people. Try to stay away from politics. Jedi should not be involved in politics. That's probably a very good sentiment, Carter. I do believe people should vote. So if anything is trying to convince you not to vote, then don't do that and go vote. Dallas or Tampa Bay for the Cup? You know what? I think Dallas is looking kind of unstoppable right now. But I think if the Islanders can get by Tampa, I think they could win. I don't see Tampa beating Dallas. But I didn't see Dallas beating Vegas, so, there you go. Anyways, what do you think of the Mandalorian 2 trailer? Yeah, somebody's already asked that. We talked about that earlier in the video. You can go back. Loved it. I'm scared that the opening scene of the Razor Crest derelict floating through space may be foreboding of the loss of that ship. Here in Tasmania. Dude, one of my pastors at my church is from Tasmania. Love for your people. Really cool place. Love to go there someday. What a big world we have. What an amazing world. Again, I'm missing a whole bunch of questions. Favorite saber color? Generally, right now, kind of like a original trilogy aqua blue. It's kind of my, like, when Luke first lights up a saber and practices with it on the Falcon, that's kind of my favorite right now. So, yeah, there's lots of questions and comments coming in now. Somebody in Dallas, great, good for you. Jamie Ben, your captain. Mad respect for that guy. He actually grew up in a town that I lived in, and he's a tough, skilled hockey player, and I love tough, skilled hockey. So the guy can hit, the guy can fight. Respect. It's hockey. So I wish he was on my team, not on the other team, because he's one of those players that you hate him when he's on the other team and love him when he's on your team. But if you could write a standalone film, how would it go? What a question, Harry. I don't know if I've gotten into this before, but I had this film idea of this kid in the undercity of Coruscant who finds Mace Windu's saber that was lost when his arm was cut off on the skyscrapers in the palace. The saber fell down. So it's kind of the story of the saber and this kid's discovery of the saber and a recognition that he has a connection to the Force. Maybe not full Jedi connection, but he takes this saber and the memory and the Force connection with the saber kind of leads him on a journey of self-discovery while dealing with the challenges of growing up in the undercity of Coruscant. That would be my film pitch. Ever take a lightsaber hiking with you for a cool Jedi? Yeah, I have taken it lightsabers into the mountains, sometimes with my boys, and we'll pull them out and fight in the mountains as the sun goes down. I have done that before. I've not taken it on a real backcountry quest, because if you've gone backcountry camping, weight management is everything, and I'm not taking a saber and a blade generally. So yeah, there are some really cool places to film and shoot around here. I always wanted to do lightsabers on a mountain, and I actually did a crowdfunding to help pay for a drone so I could film lightsabers on a mountain, and then I learned that all the great shooting spots are illegal to use for drones. So I've got one picked out. I still want to try to pull that off. Mary Jade from the EU is Inquisitor. Okay, I'm seeing half a question because it's way too long. Something about Mary Jade. And again, I apologize if I'm missing your question. Feel free to ask it again in concise, short form because they flash across my screen way too fast. Plot point of the canceled episode 9 script. Oh, was it really? Huh. Sabers make excellent flashlights. That is true. Headlamps also make very excellent flashlights, and they're light. Fans fantasize that Starkiller, Mara Jade, others will return from the EU as Inquisitors in the Jedi Fallen Order sequel game. I don't think I'd like that. I think if you're gonna bring expanded universe characters in, you stay true to the character. You don't bring Mara Jade as an Inquisitor because that was not her story. She was the Emperor's Hand, so maybe you could run across her as the Emperor's Hand in that timeline. That would be cool. But I don't see her as an Inquisitor. That's not, as she describes in the novels, her time as Emperor's Hand, it wasn't really Inquisitor stuff. Inquisitor stuff was much more dark. She was more of a kind of a spy agent, at times assassin, but under the belief that she was doing the right thing, not ever really fallen to the dark side per se. And I can't remember what novel. It's in the Thrawn trilogy. I think at the end of the Thrawn trilogy where Luke engaged, or maybe it was the second pair of books after the Thrawn trilogy. Hux kills himself with Mace's saber. Hux kills himself with Mace's saber. Was that, Rich, was that like a plot point that they were talking about? I don't know. 40 minutes. We're going to wrap this up fairly soon. Let me check my list and see if there's anything else I wanted to talk about. I have a list. Someone asked, and they weren't going to be able to be here, and they asked about saber design based around the 4 elements. I thought it was an excellent idea. Initially, I thought, he's talking about the 5th element movie. But I thought, okay, no, the four elements are kind of, the 4 elements. They're kind of a general thing, but yet they're a very foundational, fundamental thing. I had not thought about that. That may rattle around in my brain and come out at some point in some form or another. I don't know. It's a good idea. Talked about the Mandalorian trailer. Talked about Star Wars having no real plan in the sequel films. And the announcement that we're ending the Vector and the Speeder will be a regular item for next year. Awesome. Avatar sabers. These are some great ideas. Oh, that was in the script, the canceled one. I have not got into the details of what reportedly went on in scripts, canceled scripts, film meetings, story timeline meetings, storyline. What do they call it? Screenplay. Excuse me. Yeah. So I don't know the details of what really happened. I prefer to, I think, rather than get overwhelmed with information, just sit back and enjoy the films. Films left me wanting, with the exception of Solo and Rogue One, of course. Any plans for a new Darkseid saber design? Production sabers that I have, I like to think they could go either way. I do, now that you mentioned, I do have something that's rattling around in my brain that would probably lend itself more towards a Darkseid style. But I don't know when I'll complete this, but I'm going to try working on a new high-end Crystal Focus 10 saber with the crystal that's very aged and weathered, and has some etching on it. The design that I haven't played with for a while. So anyways, Rule of 2 does a live read. I gotta get, I think Rule of 2 is the second book, right? I got Path of Destruction, and I've got the last one, but I don't have Rule of 2. I need to pick that up because I want to read through the series again. Borrowed it from a friend. Fellow Canadian Star Wars theory. Really cool to have all the Canadians on today. Yeah, so that's the live feed. That's all that we're talking about today. I appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll do this again. There's always more to talk about in Star Wars land. This is Star Wars land, by the way. And again, thank you for supporting me. Thank you for supporting the YouTube channel, buying the t-shirts, buying the sabers, the sound fonts. If you haven't got Ashes yet, go try that out. Have you seen the cool 3D fan-made animations, Darth Angelus, Heir to the Empire? No, I have not. Send me a link and I'll check it out. There's so much fan-made content out there that I'm missing it. Thank you for all the comments and the questions. Apologies for the ones that I've missed. And we will see you next time. Keep your head in the game. Stay above water. Some cliche advice. Keep your stick on the ice. Red, green, right, Canadians? Huh? Yeah. The Force is kind of like duct tape. Dark side on one, light side on the other, binds the universe together. That's all I got. Peace out, peeps.